It's like a Roussillon. And I think people balk at that. Oh, you don't make wine from your... But actually, it's a brilliant way of doing it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yes. It's kind of community-based then, isn't it?
Yeah, but it helps everyone out. You know, the vigneron do what they do best. Okay, in this case it's not, but you know, quite often it's the case that the vigneron look after the vines. That's what they do best, and the winemakers take that and they translate it into wine. And so often people balk at that. Well, you know, oh, you've got these great vineyards. Why don't you make your own wine? And actually, the reason is because it's hard work.
Yeah.
You know, looking after a vineyard is hard work.
Oh, it's
Then you've got to spend 3 weeks turning all your hard work into.
Of course.
You know.
Plus, he is an organic grower.
Yeah, I was going to say it
And,
fits in with
you
the
know,
ethos there, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean, a lot of the sort of older generation now, they're the generation who were first sold chemicals, who were the first to realise that...
How long ago was that?
Well, it was really after the Second World War.
Okay.
They became very prevalent. But, you know, there was a generation who were used to slogging away in the vineyards, working incredibly hard, and then the salespeople from the chemicals companies came along and said, that's okay, you don't have to do that anymore, just spray this instead. And they then got into the habit of spraying instead of doing things by hand. And for them now, often it's a bit too much of a switch to go back. But people like Antonio coming along, or you know, lots of dynamic young winemakers in southern France, and saying, okay, well, we'll take responsibility and we'll switch it back.
It's very interesting. You did an analogy in another wine clip that you did, but you know, you talk about the vines can become junkies for these herbicides and insecticides, and actually to get a junkie off his drug, he goes to go through cold turkey, and it takes a vine about 3-4 years to sort of really pull through that. Oh no!
So you're sacrificing, are you, those 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, you've got to.
I mean, you're not going to be making wine?
No, you will be making wine, but it won't be at a quality level that you want it to be at.
It can often be worse than the quality level that you had. So sometimes, certainly happening in Languedoc, and a lot of people going back to organics where they making wines after stopping, and the wine is so bad they're just going, you know, oh my god, this is terrible. What am I going to do? And
well, I think this is where a lot of people have brought biodynamics into it as well. Because a lot of biodynamic...
What's the difference between organic and biodynamic?
To simplify it hugely.
Yeah, please.
Organic, you just don't use chemicals.
Sure.
Artificial chemicals. Biodynamic, you don't use chemicals, but you also actively do things. You use preparations in the vineyard. In effect, it's homeopathy for vines, really, in order to encourage vine health.
Wow.
And get their immune system working. And certainly what some people have found is that they don't go through the phase that Ben was describing. A lot of people do. But if they immediately start treating the vine with almost like homeopathic medicine, they maybe are not at the quality level they want to be at immediately, but they don't go through that dip, if you like.
So they see the results?
Oh, absolutely.
Because homeopathic medicine, like even with humans, it's still pretty controversial whether it works
it's
or
hugely
not.
controversial in the world.
And all that stuff like working with the sun and the moon and the constellations, isn't it?
It does work. You know, I saw a picture the other day that a winemaker in Loire had in its picture some lettuces, and the lettuces that were planted and grown on what's called a root day, i.e. when the gravitational pull is more than the solar pull. I think is right. You correct me if I'm wrong here, and it's amazing when about a week later, and during the phase of the moon, where it's more of an upward pull, 2 lettuces were then harvested, and you can see very clearly that lettuces that have been planted on root day have massive, strong roots that go all the way into the lettuce, so you get less lettucey leafy to eaty.
Wow, that's amazing.
Whereas the other one has got just a ball of lettuce, which is all there for your delicious delectation.
So, it's a nice idea and it sounds all great, but as far as tasting it, can we actually taste the difference in a biodynamic or organic wine?
In a well-made biodynamic or organic wine, you know, just following those principles is no guarantee of success, because I've certainly tasted, I'm sure Ben has as well, plenty of examples that are too appalling to begin to discuss. So you do have to be an intelligent grower of grapes and an intelligent winemaker as well as an organic and biodynamic producer. But if you are, then I believe you can taste the difference, again, in the purity of fruit, the intensity, the fact that there's something about it, and I mean this most sincerely, I make no apologies for how hippie this may sound, but there's something alive in the wine. You know, it is not a sort of horrible dead weight on your tongue full of confected flavors or gloopy. It's lively. It has life in it.
There's no doubt about it. It translates itself into the wine.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that also you can draw the analogy of a chef who, you know, might have the best ingredients ever, but he can still make cruddy food. You know?
Yeah. This is being made perhaps then with a whole lot of love. And I'm
Exactly.
loving it, loving it, loving it.
God,
Thank you,
you should be
Antonio.
you should be on the Olympics 2012 committee and go and sing with Jimmy Page.
I'm going to ask about that. Cheers.
Thanks for
I think
coming.
you should.